We just watched Christspiracy, the theater cut. We both watched it yesterday and then we watched it back again just now. And we have some things we want to cover. But yeah, like straight off the bat, wow. Wow, what a movie.
What can you say, man?
I mean, easily the most potent documentary on animal rights I have seen ever.
This is revolutionary.
Other than Dominion, of course. But this is revolutionary because it really does go to the core of like the foundation of society as we know it. Religions are based on what prophets are saying, and they're following what these prophets are saying as the word of God. And it's the same thing all the way through, but there are many gods depicted in religions and many prophets that speak of what gods have said that we ought to do or what we ought not to do and things like this. The biggest one is Christianity, and we all know that, but to know the statistics that they showed in the documentary was also mind-blowing, and just how dominant that religion is in society. And I was just in Italy, and as you can imagine, being in Rome and other parts of Italy, it's just unbelievable how much religion is intertwined into society there. I mean, every single cathedral, which blows you away because the architecture is world class. You're not going to find much better architecture than what you see in Florence and in Rome. I mean, especially the cathedrals in Florence, Jesus. And even these sayings that we have, Jesus, oh, Jesus Christ, like we say these things, it's so intertwined into our lives, into our world.
A lot of people have their own thoughts about their given religion, and they like to, and it's very deceiving. There are people who wants to control religion, and they want to rewrite the scriptures.
Yeah, that's why I've always had this rejection toward organized religion. Straight off the bat, I know what these religious people that watch this documentary, they're going to say, well, my priest at my church or my sheikh or whatever it is says that this information is incorrect or says something else that's counter to this, and so I'm just going to go by that. And this just goes to prove that these religions are not based on truth. It's not based on one truth, one objective truth. It's based on, hey, at this church we believe this version of the religion, which means we interpret the book this way. And that's
because
why
we feel like that. We feel this way, so we need to...
Yeah, according to our biases, this is how we view it. And that's why organized religion is forever doomed, I think. And so even if you are a part of a religion, you need to be discerning as an individual and critically think. Like all these things that tell us so much about...
You need to find the truth for yourself.
Yeah.
And not just blindly listen to some sort of scholar as if he is the God or something like that. Because people have this appeal to authority fallacy that they fall into.
Right, exactly. That's a good point. The appeal to authority, yeah. My priest at this church says this, so that is the truth, apparently. Yeah, it's exactly how it works.
Yeah, I don't have to think about this because my priest told me.
Yeah, exactly.
He has thought about this.
Yeah, right, yeah. It's amazing how people do that in one case, but in other cases they don't. Like, most people would like to say they choose their own haircut style, for example. And I'm sure if their priest said you should get your hair cut this way, they probably wouldn't do it.
Right.
But I'm starting to question that now that I say it out loud, because maybe people would do it. I don't know.
Yeah, but
people are hypocrites, I think, in some regards.
They're super hypocrites because a lot of these people who would believe their priest in one, like about, for instance, eating animals, they would just, if they found out that their priest had some sort of twisted view on women or something like that, they would wait. My priest says this, but he's wrong about that, but he's right about everything else, or
right?
Yeah.
So that's what these religious deniers, religious people who will deny this documentary will clearly say. We're calling it right now. You'll see a whole slew of people coming out of the woodwork saying, yeah, this is inaccurate, this is propaganda, just like Joe Rogan and everybody else did with the previous documentaries, but with this one, because it hits so deep into the core of everything.
Dude, yeah, this movie, hits fucking hard, dude. This movie is like you can't refute this movie without being fully delusional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's get into some of the points that we made. I want to cover mine, and then we'll get into yours.
Yeah.
I have.
There might be some intertwined.
Yeah,
so
I'm
I'll
sure
just-
there are.
Yeah.
But yeah, here are some of the things I found most interesting about this documentary. Now, number one, like this is the thing is, I just want to make clear, that this isn't just saying 100% positive things about it. I want to also say some things that are critical. Some constructive criticism for the documentary. Although, other than these things that I have written down, I think that this documentary is flawless and completely revolutionary. And wow, what a great job they did, man. So one thing I felt was they didn't really target Judaism and Islam enough, which are
very short.
It was there, but it just wasn't strong enough of a point. And those are two very big religions, especially Islam, especially that religion being second, I think, to Christianity.
It is. Yeah.
So I think that should have been a much bigger focus. I, as an activist, as someone who consumed this documentary, would have loved to have seen more of a focus on that, because when I'm out on the streets doing this work, and I'm sure you know this, we speak to so many Muslims who try to justify this from the basis of their religion.
Yeah.
And it would be really nice if there was a much stronger point about this in the documentary.
Yeah,
So
because Islam is very, very in alignment with veganism, actually.
absolutely.
A lot of the writings and the Prophet Muhammad, particularly one incident where God tells him, if you have mercy on this lamb, God will have mercy on you twice.
Twice over. Yeah.
So that can't be interpreted anything else than being kind to animals is the most virtuous thing you can choose to do.
Right.
So,
yep. I connected with a woman in Jordan, and this was some months ago. I was trying to organize an interview with her because I heard about her story being a professor at a university in Jordan, where the government over there is heavily Islamic and Islamic ran. I think the government is structured based on the religion, but not in the holy sense, in the corrupt sense. Yeah. And then, so in Jordan, she was a professor and also a Muslim, and she was a religious scholar. When I say was, she got fired and got cancelled because she spoke out about how Muslims are getting this wrong, and Muhammad was actually vegan, and she's vegan herself, and she was trying to get that message across to everybody. Immediately cancelled and fired.
of course.
Yeah, and I told her, "Are you willing to talk about this on a podcast?" And I didn't hear from her again.
Just scared.
Yeah, I think so, but
and rightfully so.
But this is someone that would have been great to appear in the documentary. This is someone that should have been interviewed, I think.
Yeah.
But I only heard about this through an activist, so it's not something that is like publicly known. That this woman's story is not out there. You have to look for it. So what I'm trying to say is that, there are religious scholars out there that understand that Muhammad was vegan, that Jesus was vegan, that Buddha was vegan, and etc. And yet the followers of these religions do not subscribe to the truth of it. They subscribe to the version that's given to them locally or otherwise. Yeah. And this is going to change that. This documentary is going to change that. But I really do wish that there was more of a focus on Judaism and Islam. But moving on, I also think that at the very end of the documentary, there was not a strong enough point made about the fact that Jesus was killed for defending animals.
Yeah.
And I know I'm giving away a lot by saying that. But he was crucified days after what happened in the temple, which I won't talk about fully. I don't think we should fully talk about that. But the bottom line is, and I know I have to give away some of this, is that he was fucking killed for defending animals, for being an animal rights activist, trying to change the culture of that time from exploiting animals and mass exploitation, mass slaughter, to abolishing that completely, which is exactly the mission that we are on today. Animal rights activists are literally carrying out the mission of Jesus Christ. How mind-boggling that he was crucified for that reason, and that truth has been suppressed all these years.
All the followers of Jesus are trying to keep the animal rights activists from getting that truth out there.
And then we have these two amazing human beings. I'm so grateful for them for exposing this. And then, dude, like having these people following them. When that guy was just walking around in the street behind Kip, and then you see the drone just hovering outside of their residence for days on end. I mean, that's got to psychologically mess you up. And props to you guys, Cam, Kip, well done. Seriously, much respect.
Because you got to remember the forces behind this whole industry and the religions, and it's
an
so
animal
big.
exploitation mafia.
Yeah.
At this point, no surprise to anybody. It should be no surprise to anybody that they are going to try and neutralize the activists that are making a threat to their profits.
Yeah, because you got to remember that animal slavery is the most profitable industry in the history of man.
And the oldest form of profit, perhaps, right?
Yeah.
Next to gold?
Yeah, that's the first currency, using animals.
Right, that was a huge point in the documentary, actually, how the word money, or was it, what was the word, capital?
No,
capital was based...
One word for money, like, I don't remember the exact word. Plutonium or something?
Yeah, I think it had to do with the word capital or something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter what the word is, but they showed how the root word of money, or the exchange of money, was based on livestock, was based on killing animals, exploiting them, and trading them for money.
Yeah.
Huge.
And we got to remember that the industry is even bigger and stronger today. And it grows bigger and stronger.
Right.
So, of course, they have all the money. They have all the infiltrations that they want. And they of course they would infiltrate religions, because that would be the most profitable thing for them, because they want people to buy their products. They want people to adhere to this idea that animals are here for us to eat, and continue to fund them, because if people would know the truth, then they would stop funding them, and that would make them lose what's matter the most to them, money. So
Yeah, and at this point, they're swimming in money.
Yeah.
And this is what blows my mind, by the way, how people show up to cubes and complain about the rules being too strict. If you think that we're going to get out onto the streets and casually do street activism and win this, then you have got to wake up to the reality of what we're up against here.
Because you got to remember all the propaganda that they want to push out there. And if we just water our message down, then that propaganda can flourish, and even just flourish and flourish and flourish even more. And it's funny how, because they've managed to, like, the industry have managed to control people that much that they think that when people actually speak the truth and say that we don't have to contribute to this horrific treatment of animals, that they think that is propaganda.
Right. Yeah. They have created the 1984 doublespeak situation here, haven't they?
Yeah. When we show the truth, this is a regular slaughterhouse. This is regular treatment, RSPCA approved treatment of animals. And people say, oh, no, but this is propaganda.
Yeah. I've even heard people going to the extent in their denial of saying that these are vegans in those slaughterhouses that are acting. I've literally heard people say that this is all just a show, and these are actually activists that are in there doing this to make it look much worse than what it is.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
The most important objective of the meat industry is for people to keep believing that animals are here for us, and keep believing that it's okay to eat animals, right? And what better way to infiltrate people than to infiltrate their religions, so that people won't question it, because, oh, but it's written here that I can do this, then it has to be okay. and then people won't question it and just keep doing it.
And even in one part of the documentary, one of the priests, I guess, said that it was the work of devils to be vegan.
Wow.
Even do you remember that part where he went to the extent of flipping it around and saying it was actually demonic to be vegan?
I remember that. And he was like, these scholars, like they looked like fucking demons while they were talking about this. They were almost as if they were possessed
Like
with
deathly.
something. Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And it's because after all those years of, and then they showed the science behind this. So this has shown that, you know, when you are that callous, apathetic and violent in your actions, and then you spend your life trying to justify that, clearly that can't have good health results.
Yeah, right. He literally said, like, if someone tells you that it's wrong, immorally wrong to eat animals, they are working with the devil.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's funny how your morals or lack thereof can affect your health so much.
Yeah.
Even though the exploitation of animals has nothing to do with human health, it's important that we point out that these people do look deathly and sick.
Yeah.
All right, so I also think that we should talk about the one part of the documentary where it's showing how they went to the most humane slaughterhouse, right? Humane certified.
Humane farm, regenerative farm.
Well, the one that they went to, which was certified humane, and they had all the ex-prisoners in there.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, that's another one. I'm not talking about. We'll get to the other one in a sec.
Okay,
but the one I'm referring to was really eye-opening for me. Even though I already knew a lot of this, but one thing that really opened my eyes up was how these ex-prisoners come into these jobs as a means to get out of prison. Like their way out of prison is to have this job, and then they go from violent crimes.
Right, because it seemed like they were given this choice of getting this job or not get out of prison.
Something like that, yeah. And they go from violent crimes to being in prison, and then their rehab is to be put in a slaughterhouse.
Yeah,
and it's not rehab, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, here's a knife, and let's spend 8 to 12 hours of your day, every day, with you slicing throats,
like 2,000 cows,
spilling blood, spilling blood, and thousands of cows a day. 8,000 they said per day in that facility or something like that.
Yeah, I think I remember.
It doesn't matter.
This guy talking about like
thousands,
1,000 to 2,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of blood, he said, and so okay, so these are significant points here because it also just goes to show that the people who run these industries are actually trying to create psychopaths. Not just consumers of psychopathic products, but actual psychopaths who produce the products.
Yeah, but 85% of these people that work in these facilities are ex-prisoners. It's the least sought after job. That's why they have to turn to prisoners too. And like the most.
Yeah, nobody wants to work in a slaughterhouse.
Right. If you have, like, of course, there are definitely psychopaths that seek these kind of jobs. I've seen some horrific interviews with some random people who work in slaughterhouses, and they say fucked up shit like when they're asked like what's your favorite part of the job, and then they ask like watching the light go out.
Yeah, you're talking about
living being.
Yeah, you're talking about that guy on the street.
Yeah.
Was he acting though? Because that seemed oddly.
I don't know. I mean,
it didn't seem fully real, but it also didn't seem like acting. It was hard to tell.
Well, like 1% of the people are psychopaths.
Oh, no, I'm not denying that. Yeah. But that was oddly extremely psychopathic.
Yeah, but what better way for modern day Jeffrey Dahmers, right? To get their
fix.
Yeah, they get their fix on killing innocent.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
So I think the demographic of psychopaths within slaughterhouse workers is definitely way, 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 way higher than any other job, I think.
Yeah.
And of course you have these slaughterhouse workers who are forced to do this job because they can't do anything else. And like the prisoners, and those people you can tell get really, really emotionally drained by this.
Oh yeah, how could you not?
Yeah.
How could you work in a place like that and not be physically and emotionally and psychologically drained, but also deranged?
Because you're a psychopath.
Well, you had violent crimes that put you in prison. Putting you in a slaughterhouse after that fact is literally the worst thing you could do for a person like that. But this isn't about making the people out to be victims necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm trying to point out the industry and how evil they are to create psychopath humans in the same process as creating psychopathic products for other humans to consume, which in turn makes them psychopathic. And this brings me to my next point.
Yeah, the actions they do are psychopathic. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is my next point about the blatant denial and euphemisms used by especially the Buddhists in this documentary.
Oh yeah.
Because they talk about how animals, you're connected to them spiritually in some way, like your parents, they said in this documentary. And they were saying that eating an animal is the biggest moral crime. One of the, it's
killing an animal is the biggest moral crime.
Yeah, they were saying things like this, and then they were saying, yes, but if a friend offers some animal body parts for me to eat, then I will accept that. And then the question was posed, well, what if that was your parents that you just ate in a past life? And what I remember specifically that dude who said in response to that, there's no doubt it was, but it was yummy.
But it tastes good.
Exactly. So they go from spiritual and awakened to apathetic and psychopathic.
Yeah.
In an instant.
Right. And they make all this mental gymnastics as well. Like they say things like, yeah, I know that killing an animal is wrong, but eating an animal is different because you're not the one killing, and the karmic response to you eating it is not as hard as if you were killing it yourself because
it's a lighter moral crime.
Yeah, it's not a moral. Yeah, it's a lighter moral crime because you're not the guy responsible for doing the killing. But then they ask the question, okay, but why are these animals killed in the first place? And then he says, yeah, because people want to eat it. And
no, actually, he didn't say that. He said, well, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, he said that, yeah.
He immediately,
I'm not the only one.
Immediately became defensive from that one question.
I'm not fully guilty alone here.
Right.
So, but then he also he admitted that like the consumers are the reason why they were getting killed.
He admitted that, but then he was also trying to excuse his personal culpability in that. It's like you are
accountability. Yeah.
You are such a hypocrite, and you're just absolutely worse actually than vegans out there.
Yeah.
So I just find that to be the most sickening aspect of religion.
Yeah.
How it can cause people to act like that. But also these people think that they're so independent and critically think for themselves, and they sound so wise when they talk and so well balanced in their emotions and whatnot, and yet psychopaths.
Yeah, these people need to be met with reality that just because you pray, just because you meditate, doesn't make you a good person.
Yeah, your actions, it should be the first thing that we look at.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like Joseph Fritzl could be praying a lot, right? But he would still walk down and have molest his children in the basement.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he was like a psychopath who
molested children.
Yeah, no, look, he I don't know if he's still alive, but yeah, he's probably in prison somewhere in Germany or something. I think that's where he's from. But yeah, he fucking did some crazy shit, dude. He tricked his wife into believing that their daughter had run away, but he had actually locked her up in the basement in like some hidden room that he had made, and he kept her there for around 30 years or something. And while she was there, he had 7 kids with her. And he continuously raped her, and then all these kids were raised inside this
I heard
room
about
in
this.
the basement. Yeah, and his
wife didn't know.
I mean, she has to have known, but
30 years?
yeah, I mean, she has to have known, but yeah, she seemed like she didn't, like she said that she didn't know, but yeah, he kept them there for 30 years,
Right.
and yeah, fucking raped his grandchildren, and yeah, it's horrific, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, but what if he prayed? What if he meditated? Does that make him a good person?
Yeah, logically, you would have to come to that conclusion based on what these Buddhists and stuff
Yeah,
say.
100%.
But yeah, the euphemisms. Let's also talk about Joel Salatin.
Oh yeah, Joel
He
Salatin.
has to be probably the biggest psychopath in this documentary.
Probably.
And it's so good to see him exposed in this documentary.
I love it, but I also love how they make it, like they show all the sides, all the different sides, unbiased. They just let him do the talking.
Absolutely,
himself.
yeah. And it wasn't out to get you. It wasn't a gotcha moment. It was just, so what do you got going on here? What do you do? Show us.
Yeah.
And then you hear him speaking, and it's just amazing how, if anyone can watch that and not think he's a psychopath, check yourself in to a mental health hospital immediately, because you may be a psychopath. No, seriously, because if you don't see what he's doing, it's the epitome of humane washing. It's the epitome of that.
Dude, it was like watching a skit. Where
like a comedy of
skit,
something
where,
that
like,
couldn't be real possibly, but it is.
Yeah, we show this innocent rabbits getting like cacked in the head.
Yeah.
And these people are just like, yeah, but we do it because that makes them not feel pain, and that's the most humane, and that's like, and then we like, after we kill them, we let them chill in this bathtub.
From kill to chill, like these cute terms that are used.
Yeah, and then we kiss and hug them, and then
we give them a hug, he said, when they put the chicken's head down into the
and
unreal, man.
Yeah, kiss and hug them, and this is and then when talking about when they had to kill all the predators in the area as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we need to reduce.
They need to be reduced.
They need to be reduced, and like it's because it doesn't sound as good if you say they need to be murdered.
Right, and when he
brutally.
said, wait, so you want these chickens to live out their normal, natural life in a cage? Cage? Whoa. That's a shelter, buddy, not a cage. Whoa. Oh, it's not murder. It's
Harvest sounds so much better, right?
Yeah.
So why not use that? Because that will make people see that, oh, this is not as bad as you think. Because we call it harvest, and everything we call it makes it morally lighter.
Right, yeah. It's the labeling that changes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also how he says that he's an evangelical person because he is practicing farming and food truth.
Yeah, this is farming and food truth.
Yeah, it's like they throw that word truth around as if what they're doing is completely morally sound.
Yeah.
That word truth is another label that they use.
It is, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people just use this word truth and throw it out there to think that that makes what they're saying more valid.
Exactly, yeah. And that's it. That's all I want to say about this documentary. Go out and see it. It's in cinemas now.
Yeah.
And it's in many different countries. I'm going to put a link in the description for this video so that you can go and support this documentary. Go and support this documentary now. It is insanely important for everybody on this planet to understand.
100%.
People don't think killing animals is a sin. That's the issue. We find ourselves in a situation right now where people are just confused.
And that's because of the satanic industry of animal slavery.
Remember how you saw the CEOs of those large companies being prayed to by the priests at one point? That was disgusting too. But that's something you very commonly see in the world, where just before tanks go out to go to war, you see priests blessing the tanks and stuff like this.
All these different scholars who confidently talk about the word dominion, and they interpret that word as if we have all the control of all the animals in all the world, and we can use the world as our playground to do as we please, and we can just destroy everything because the world is here for us to do as we please. But and they just, without a second thought, they just believe that, oh, that's what dominion means. But what dominion actually means is stewardship. And being responsibility for taking care of the world and the animals. And so we're not actually the master species. We're the
servant species.
We're the servant species.
And that's a huge point from the documentary. Our place in this world with more humility and being humble about that, as opposed to dominion, meaning causing wrath and violence to every other living being, and that's the justification, is that we are the dominant species.
Yeah, God gave us this as a playground so we can just shoot that little animal and destroy
a murder ground. It's not even a playground. It's,
yeah,
it's like we can just do whatever we want and there's no moral repercussions.
Exactly, yeah.
Dominion of the planet means it comes with responsibility. You have to act much like a parent would if they were the dominant force in a household. It doesn't mean you get to rape and kill your children. It means you have to take care of them. That's the same thing that we need to do with animals. They are our distant relatives in fur and feathers, our brothers and sisters. So we do need to take care of them.
Yeah. And there's no good justification not to do that.
Right. And we have every reason to do that. And especially if Jesus did.
Yeah.
Do what Jesus do, as people would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would Jesus do?
What would Jesus do? Right.
Everybody walks around.
Right, exactly. I know, right? And now I need to see people like Kanye West ending their hypocrisy.
All these people sitting in KFC with the bracelets and Chick-fil-A and just chomping down all these the body parts of these innocent beings who have done nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm. I was really pleased to see that one portion of the documentary actually made the case the source of oppression being animal exploitation, animal slavery, and non-human animals being oppressed by humans. Mm-hmm. That is the root of oppression across the board, which is the point that Gary Yourofsky made. And that is the thing I need to point out right now, because I love the fact that almost sounded like it was going in the direction of justifying intersectional veganism, and yet it was actually doing the opposite. I love this documentary for that as well, because it made a very strong point about the fact that you cannot be so concerned with these human issues unless you fully address this issue and you treat this as the core and the source and the root.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's the truth.
Yeah.
And we need to view it that way if we're going to address this properly.
Yeah, I agree. And the only reason, I would even argue that the only reason that human slavery ever existed was because animal slavery existed first. Because if people had the morals back then to realize that we shouldn't be exploiting and enslaving these innocent creatures, then how could they ever think that it's okay to morally enslave other humans?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then there was also the military that has been practicing their weapons and everything pretty much on animals before they do on human enemies. So this has been known since armies started.
As long as there are slaughterhouses, there will be battlefields.
Leo Tolstoy.
Yeah,
and last point, Da Vinci.
Yeah.
What are you doing, bro? You're not supposed to pay for animals to be released. Another giveaway from the documentary.
Yeah.
I like the intention, but obviously dumb. I thought Da Vinci was smarter than that.
He kind of did what Jesus did, but he paid for it.
He paid for it, which goes to support the exploitation further. You're funding it further. And so all those animals you saved, you probably paid for 2 more to replace them, because they have to make a profit margin and then they're going to purchase more animals to sell. That's the trade. Yeah. But it was cool to hear that, but also not so cool because I thought Da Vinci was smarter than that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's end it there. Go see this documentary ASAP.
Watch it now.